Hello, highly sensitive person, and welcome to this week's episode of the Highly Sensitive Club. This is episode 90. Today's topic came up during one of my recent coaching sessions, and it's a theme that I've noticed with some of my other clients as well. I thought I've got to tell my sensitive and highly sensitive people about this today because this could be something that helps you completely reframe some painful experiences and put them in a different light. As a highly sensitive person, you are someone who has lots of thoughts, you have big, intense feelings, you have very intense empathy for other people, and you pick up on their emotions. And even when it looks like you're just staring off into space and zoning out, there's an alternate dimension, another galaxy going on in the back of your mind, even though it looks like you're just thinking about something. Because we are such deep feelers, such big thinkers, we tend to have intense experiences of a lot of things in our lives. As highly sensitive people, we are really good at reading the room. You can walk into a room and get a vibe check pretty quick. You can sense the energy, you can sense the mood, you can sense generally where everybody is in space because that's just one of your highly sensitive gifts. The problem with this tends to be when we have really strong negative experiences, we turn those into core memories that stay with us for years and hold us back. Today's episode is about rewriting your stories to make them more empowering. You get to reclaim the narrative of painful experiences that involved fear, anxiety, embarrassment, shame, guilt, and you get to turn those into things that empower you and work to your benefit rather than being things that continue to hold you back and make you feel like you're incapable of moving forward and that you don't have any confidence to do the things that you want to do in your life. I asked permission of one of my clients to share this story because it was such a fantastic example. And I hope that it will bring you some clarity as well. My client, Dana, recently decided to learn how to DJ. And music is so important to us highly sensitive people. And she just wanted to do it for fun. She signed up for this course, and the course accelerated much more quickly than she anticipated. She rose to the challenge and they said, okay, students, we want you to come and do a gig. We want you to do a set, and we're going to rotate you in and you'll perform at an actual club. She was like, okay, I can do this. And then naturally, as happens to all of us at some point, things didn't go according to plan. The technology didn't work. Some of her set didn't flow as easily as she wanted. There were some mistakes. A lot of people saw it, including the students that she had been going through her cohort with and her teacher. And it felt really embarrassing. Now, I imagine, highly sensitive person, that you can very quickly recall a similar experience that you've had too. I can go back to the fourth grade and feeling embarrassed in front of an entire class, making a comment in front of my teacher. I imagine you too have a moment that may come back to you over and over again. Something that felt embarrassing or you wish hadn't happened. Maybe it happened in front of someone that you were trying to impress or someone that you admire. Maybe it happened in front of a bunch of people. So I imagine you can relate to Dana's struggles. And she found that even though she rose to the occasion, she put on a brave face, she showed up, she completed her set, she received the congratulations from all of her cohort, she was able to get home, this memory was still coming up, even weeks later. I've had clients who have memories like this come up years later. This is normal. Your experience of them is so strong that they might stick back there and you might be able to step right back into that memory at a moment's notice as though you're living it over again, even while you're going through your day. These could very well turn into intrusive thoughts where you're just driving down the road or you're doing dishes and suddenly this embarrassing memory pops in your head. It is so powerful for you because your experience of it at the moment was so strong. We talked about this during our coaching session, and I said, I hear you that this was a painful experience. To me, you're showing me that this was the absolute worst case scenario and you still survived it. You get to decide what you make it mean. You get to decide if you make it mean, I completely fell flat on my face. I'm a failure. I should never have done this. I'll never figure this out. And I never want to do this thing that I was so excited about and that brought me so much joy and fun. Or You can decide to write a different story about this experience. You can decide to make this an empowering story. You can decide to make this a redemption arc. You can be in your coming back from a huge failure era. This could be an opportunity for you to tell a story about yourself using the qualities and the values that you really want to bring forward. A big value for Dana is resilience. And the only way to get resilience is to come up on obstacles and challenges, then pick yourself up and go back and do it again. That's how you build resilience. It's getting back up and bouncing back from difficult experiences. You can't build resilience if everything's smooth and comfy all the time. She decided, yes, I want this to be my redemption story. I'm going to practice. I'm going to go back to the basics and make sure I've mastered them. I'm going to try this in some safer environments with friends who support me, and I'm going to try this again. That is a powerful story. That is how you rewrite your story. You make a choice at this crossroads where you could go this way and make it mean something negative about you, this experience. Or you could go the other way and you could make it mean something powerful about you. Most of the things in our lives are not completely smooth, sunshine and rainbows all the time, even though sometimes our brain says, well, if it's not sunshine and rainbows, then it's going to be too hard and I don't want to do it anyway. It's more normal to have failures, setbacks, mistakes, and you pick yourself up, you learn from them, and you try again. There's always opportunity to rewrite your story and then immediately go and be the person that you want to be. I have another client who originally, when we started working together, she said, I have memories that have been plaguing me for 30 years. Regrets that I have about conversations I wish I'd had, about things that I would have finessed differently. I would have gone about things differently. She was owning something related to these two people that she knew. She thought it was not going to be a good situation for them, but she didn't say anything. And it ended up being a bad situation. She was taking responsibility for 3 decades later. A few coaching sessions in, she came to a new thought, which is, I learned the lesson that I was meant to get from that experience, and I'm going to make different choices moving forward. This gets to be a learning story. I didn't like how I showed up. I didn't like how that went down for those people. I'm going to be the kind of person who shares my observation or shares my opinion, even if the other person doesn't like it, even if they don't agree, even if they go ahead and make that choice anyway. I want to be the kind of person who shares my concerns in order to help the other person. That's the lesson that she took from this. And since that session, we've never had to talk about those lingering memories again. That thought keeps coming back for her. I learned the lessons I was meant to learn, and now I'm moving on. Now I'm going to do better in the future. I'm doing better already. I have yet another client. Oh my gosh, this was so good. We were talking about how she felt like she had wasted a lot of years of her life. She's going through a lot of life transitions right now. She is going through a divorce. She's moving. She started up a career that she had put on pause for a while. There's a lot of things happening in her life. And she said, I feel like I lost track of my potential. I feel like I'm not living up to my potential. My reframe for her was potential isn't a destination. Potential is something that you are in each moment. By making these big decisions for yourself to honor yourself, you are literally in your potential right now. You're growing every single time you make a decision like this. You expand your capacity. You grow what your potential is. You reach your milestones. You hit those goals, and then you've become a different person in the process. So then you can set new goals. You can create new milestones. You can go in different directions, bigger directions, because you're trusting that you're already in your potential. This whole concept of rewriting your story can help you change into the person you want to be. I really like to poke holes at the thought, I'm not good at it, so I shouldn't try it. Just because you're not good at something naturally doesn't mean that you can't become better at it. One of my core values as a coach is that anyone can learn any skill. You're not good at communication? No problem. We will help you figure out how to get better at communication. You don't know how to empathize with other people and not take on their emotions. That's a skill that you can learn to create that energetic boundary for yourself that you can experience someone else's emotions and not carry them around. That's a skill. You can build the skill of catching your thoughts before you go into a doom spiral and you start scrolling on the internet, distracting yourself with video games or TV shows. You want to crawl into bed and sleep all day instead of just making a step towards the thing you actually want. When you can catch yourself in that moment, you're building the skill of redirecting your mind. You can learn all of these things, and rewriting your story helps you get better at these skills because we think that we need to do things in order to become a different person. I can tell you from my experience working with lots of clients, doing my own transformational journey over and over again. I have lots of Phoenix seasons. It starts with being the person you want to be first and then taking actions from that place. I bet you had a number of experiences where you've taken tons of actions. You've bought courses, you have watched free webinars, you've read the books, you take the actions, and you're still not making traction. You're still not getting where you want to go. Now, there are probably times where you have had successes, which is why you keep going back to them. And I'm not saying I don't like those things because I am a lifelong learner too. I hear you. And it's not the actions that are the issue. When you start trying new things and it's not working, it's not about the actions. You might be taking the best actions ever. You might not be taking the right actions, but it doesn't really matter the how as long as you are tapping into the version of you want to be and then stepping into that over and over again. I'll give you a personal example. Last year in August, I was in a major car crash. At the time, I had been delivery driving to supplement my business income because I'm still in the first couple years of my business at that point. I'm still growing. I'm still talking to people. I'm still giving value. I'm still building up my client base. And my brain had this story that I couldn't stop driving until I did enough in my business that I replaced that income. This might be true. This might serve you. But there was another part of me that was thinking, you give so much more value when you're not tired and when you're not focusing on this job. When you believe in yourself that you have something to offer, and when you go out and find people to help, number one, you make way better money. But number two, you create way more value than just dropping off someone's dinner order. You could be doing that. The fearful part of my brain was like, no, I can't. It's too scary. I don't want to let go of this. I got into a major accident, totaled my car. And as I was on the way to the ambulance, texting my clients, canceling them for the day, broken wrist, I thought this could be the worst experience that's ever happened to me. And I could turn this into a cause for fear. I could turn this into something that takes my love of driving and turns it into something scary. Or I could turn this into one of the best things that's ever happened to me. I could look at this moment as a pivot moment in my life. And 2 years down the road, I could look back at this and say, I am so glad that happened because it caused me to double down on my business and really figure out how to do it. And then it did. While I'm on the way to the hospital, I'm making this decision for myself about what I want this experience to be. It took me 3 weeks to recover enough that I was cleared to drive. And the first thing I did was borrow my fiance's car. And I immediately went back over to that intersection and I made the turn. I burst into tears. And then I turned around and went through the intersection again. And it didn't bother me at all. I didn't have any anxiety about it. I didn't have any anxiety about driving. I still hop in the car, turn on my favorite music, and I love to drive because I made that decision for myself. I never let the fear and the anxiety and the trauma of the experience take its hold on me so that I feared going back through that intersection or driving or even giving myself the opportunity to double down on my business. That's the story that I created, and I help my clients do that all the time. And they do it, which is what's so incredible. So I know that you can do it too. You can make these decisions too, and you can do it at any time. You don't have to do it in the moment where you immediately get off stage or you immediately walk away from an embarrassing conversation and decide, oh, I'm going to make that mean something different. Sometimes you have to process what happened first before you make that decision for yourself, because if your emotions are really intense, it's going to be hard for you to process it and to make that informed decision when your emotions are really high. When you're in the midst of this 9 out of 10 or 10 out of 10, shame, embarrassment, guilt, fear, disappointment, hurt, pain, sadness, it's going to be hard to make that decision. So you feel the emotions first, and then afterwards, you decide how you want to interpret the experience that you had. Do you want to interpret it in a way where you feel like a victim and you didn't have any control and this terrible thing happened to you? Or do you want to decide, yep, that was a situation that happened. I didn't have control over it, but I do have control over my experience of it. I have control over what I make it mean. I have control over my interpretation of it. And I can use this challenging experience. I can use this painful memory and turn it into something that fuels me towards the person I want to be. Would you rather go down the victim route that something happened to you, or would you rather choose something more powerful that even though it was painful, even though it hurt, even though it was your worst case scenario, you can still get something out of it for yourself. You can still use it as a way to become the person you want to be. I encourage you to make that decision for yourself and know that that is possible, and it's probably easier than you think it is. Whether it happened recently and you're making this pivot decision, or whether this happened 30 years in the past and you're deciding that you know what the lessons were and you have become a different person because of them, you can let go of those negative emotions, but you don't have to hold on to it and make it mean something about you. It doesn't have to mean you can't do it or that you're not capable. You had a human moment where something didn't go according to plan. That happens to all of us all the time. And it either doesn't have to mean anything about you because you're still the same person, or it can mean that you're the kind of person who gets back up anyway. You get to choose, which is where the real power lies. You get to write this story however you want to write it. And now, because I am so jazzed about this, I was thinking about the end of the year and how highly sensitive people can get very caught up in the hustle and bustle of the holidays. And I personally want to turn this December into my least hustly, least bustly December ever. I want to slow down. I want to enjoy the season. I want to feel like I'm showing up with my wholehearted self. And if that means that I don't show up to an event or I don't do an action that I would normally do or a ritual or a tradition that I would normally take around this time of year, that's okay because that's what it means to show up wholeheartedly. I'm making a conscious decision for myself. And that means I also want to help you make conscious decisions too. Something that I do at the end of the year is to look back on the year previously and to decide, what am I celebrating? What did I learn from this year? And what am I taking moving forward? What's my intention for the coming year? You can go back and listen to the episode about the simplest way to move into New Year. I set an intention for the year to have more structure and be more patient. Now I get to evaluate, did I do it? Did I create more structure? Have I become more patient? Spoiler alert, the answer is yes. However, I'm going to be doing a workshop on Thursday, December 18th, about how to write your story of 2025. If you are interested in joining me, you can go to stephanielynn.com, that /story to register for the workshop. There will be a replay, and I am giving this away completely free. Once I record the workshop, I will have it available on my website. So if you're listening to this after December 2025, you can still go back and you can use this at any time. I want to walk you through my process of evaluating the year so that you get to decide, what is the story that we are telling about our 2025? What do we want to make it mean? What are the lessons that we've learned? And how do we want to bring that forward into our next year? If you're interested in joining me on Thursday, December 18th, 2025, to go through the workshop live, go to stephanielynn.com /story, and I will have all of the details for you there. No matter how long it's been, you can always rewrite your story. And for a lot of us, 2025 has had its ups and its downs. We've seen a lot of challenges. There's been a lot of upheaval in many of our lives, as well as in the world at large. Being able to write the story that we want to write about what we got out of this year is one of the most empowering things that we can do for ourselves. And I want to walk you through that process. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. I hope you got a lot out of it, out of my experience, my client's experience, and that you too can see the possibility to take that painful memory, rewrite it, and turn it into something that proves to you who you want to be. You get to make that choice. And I am so excited for you to rewrite that story for yourself. Thank you so much for watching and listening, and I will see you on the next one.
Thanks for listening. If you're ready to take what you learned today to the next level, head over to StephanieLinn, that's LINN.com, and book a consultation call to get started. I can't wait to see you there, my dear HSP.